Hey everyone, just a quick spoiler alert before we get started. Today we'll be discussing American Horror Story Roanoke up to episode 5, Atlanta season 1 up to episode 7, Westworld season 1 up to episode 2, and we also had a slight microphone issue today, so if the levels sound a little bit off to you, don't worry, we'll be back to normal next week. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of SCTV for ScreeningClub.com, where we break down all the latest in television entertainment each week for you. You guys ready to talk some TV?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. How was your TV watching week?
It was good. It's good. How was yours?
It was good. I feel like there's a lot to talk about.
Too much, literally, to talk about. I couldn't even find room for our favorite DS, Designated Survivor, this week. I feel a little bit ashamed.
Well, you know how I feel about DS, Mike.
Could you not find room, or did you drop out of quality reasons?
No, I will find space in the next few days to cram that one in, because it's one of my favorite shows to shit on.
Okay.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because you don't want to be abandoning Kiefer. He will come and find you.
Yeah?
This is his new baby, okay?
Oh, boy.
We gotta support him. But let's hop in first to American Horror Story, AHS. We're on episode 5?
Episode 5, Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, things got a little bit... Chris, did I hear a rumor that you hopped back in? You've been watching it?
The rumors are false.
Oh my god.
If that's what you heard, because I did not.
Chris still not into it.
Though there was a lot of Twitter talk this week about this episode, and it was kind of unavoidable at some point.
Ooh, a hot take. Here we go.
What's new?
It was a really good episode of American Horror Story.
Oh.
Wow. I don't know.
For like mid-season,
okay,
late stage American Horror Story, like by those standards,
place where it usually falls apart.
Usually, like the middle is usually when it just collapses in on itself. It was a great episode.
I wouldn't know.
By those standards, by that bar.
Okay. Yeah, for me it was... I have some thoughts. The big thing that stuck out to me was just this woman that did not fit. That was one of the talking, the green screen people. And then she was really... I felt so bad at acting that I needed to look her up. And it turns out she was an actual historian. Chris, of course, is our in-house historian.
Sure.
Her name was Doris Kearns Goodwin. Do you know anything about her, Chris?
I've heard that name. I don't really know much about her. I think she has something to do where she wrote a book about Teddy Roosevelt, but that's pretty much all I know about her.
Well, which historian hasn't at some point?
I know. I have two myself.
And I'm assuming you haven't heard anything about her going to acting school?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I agree. That took me by surprise.
Wait, what was it? Was she like a talking head in the episode?
She was a talking head narrating the past of this house. She took us all the way back to the initial construction of the house and its founder, its builder, played by American Horror Story staple Evan Peters. He played, I believe his name was Edward Philippi Mott, the distant ancestor of Dandy Mott that we talked about last week that they initially referenced.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was the narrator, historian who took us back to that time.
Why?
Yeah, as far
I understand the want for like the authenticity. Like I understand that thought, but like it's American Horror Story. Who gives a shit? Why not just cast someone who could like reasonably sell this story? Like she was horrendous. Her line delivery.
She really. There was one moment. You know, I think one of the cornerstones to me of lower level acting when you can just tell that they're sitting there and she's waiting for her the next line to be fed so she can spit back the answer. I mean, I'm sure she's a fine woman and she's a great writer and historian, but that's what sort of put me over the edge, and I had to know what was going on. So it makes sense, at least.
Yeah, it was like just too like inconceivable to actually be like a real actor. Like in no way would that person ever be cast to play this part who's bad at acting.
So when I first heard this, I assumed it was her coming in to talk about the history of the Roanoke colony.
We've already been there. Done
okay.
With, Roanoke history.
So I thought it was going to be
that was part of last week.
I thought it was going to be her like explaining like in actuality what happened, which probably would have been a lot more natural. But as far as you guys can tell, this is all fake. She just was reading fake history.
She was telling a very fake story.
Oh,
very,
that's odd.
Crazy story
about Evan Peters.
About Evan Peters' character. But that aside, if you were able to get over that hump to start the episode, I thought the actual like content of that prologue that we got with Evan Peters was really interesting. I really enjoyed that performance.
I would say
it was pretty great.
I've got two negative thoughts. One I'm going to save for later. One does have to do with him, though. I thought that was cool. Everything when we come back to like present with Evan Peters, I was just like, okay, like he's showing up at random times and leading them places, and then he'll disappear and then he'll show back up again. There was some cool, like when they were walking through the Evan Peters tunnels.
Spooky.
Yeah, that was a weird.
When like the
spooky
light would pass over his face, like his face would like transform into this like ghoulish, shadowy, menacing face.
That was cool.
And we would only get glimpses of it like a few times throughout that scene, but it was spooky. The whole episode I thought was like pretty unsettling. There was a lot of like, grisly, up close violence.
Yeah.
We got someone's head being smashed with a hammer. We got that same character torn limb from limb to be like harvested into jerky. That would
we got
to be eaten by those hillbillies.
We got a very graphic broken leg,
broken ankle,
Kathy
Bates style misery ankle.
Wow.
Shattering. What else did we get?
Well, we got a lot. I mean, so
the impalement of that spear through Evan Peters' chest.
Yeah. So Evan Peters takes them, or Mott takes them, and helps them escape because the house is surrounded, and we learn
in ghost form.
In ghost form, he's built a series of underground tunnels because it was a big long backstory. He's an art collector and he wanted an escape route, but he ends up bringing them right into the hands of the redneck people that we've dealt with a bit through this season, and we get a big taste.
Relatives of the Feral Boys.
Yeah, and they're pissed about what's happened to the Feral Boys. And we get a taste, no pun intended, even though I've said it twice, about what those rednecks are all about. And they've caught Dr. Elias, and he's back again. No tape needed. He was really back for a few minutes, and they sort of give us a little bit that they're sort of working with the butcher, and they tried to buy the house, so all this stuff wouldn't keep happening. And I guess that sort of leads me to my next point. So they escape, and they get back to the house. Kathy Bates attempts to capture Flora again. Kathy Bates' son betrayal.
Yeah.
And we know Mike's a big fan of Kathy Bates' character's son, right?
Yeah, Wes Bentley. Got a few more wonderful line deliveries from him with that awful accent.
And
he just sort of, out of the blue, has this crisis of conscience and decides to murder his already dead ghost mother. I don't know how that works.
It was really out of the blue, wasn't it? He's just been hundreds of years carrying on with this.
Very little set up to that scene. But here's why I liked the episode a lot.
Yes.
That there was just one clear goal for these characters from the very beginning. and that's to escape from this nightmarish hell alive. And it's just played out throughout the entire episode. They're just on the run, trying to free themselves of this murdering death colony, and that's it. We're with them. We are rooting for them to survive, and it's mostly played very well, very interestingly, and it's just rare to get that kind of like narrowed, focused episode of American Horror Story. Like usually there's 12 different things going on at once. Most of it all done horribly, but that's why I liked it, and I thought it was suspenseful. There was a lot of momentum that carried it through from scene to scene. There were obvious, apparent issues, starting with the horrible acting of the real life historian
right off the bat too.
I thought the final act itself, the conclusion of that arc, wasn't done necessarily well. It was just kind of yada yada. Wes Bentley's going to kill Kathy Bates. That'll be the end. But I think it mostly closed this chapter of the season,
and
pretty satisfying.
I would feel the same way, and it brings up a question: where are we going, Mike? Where are we going from here?
I mean, we already know from Ryan Murphy that there is a clear split in the season. The first 5 episodes are going to play out this one arc, and then the rest after that will be something else entirely. So I really don't know.
Could it be
really interested to find out.
A different group of people? Is that possible?
I have no idea.
A different episode?
I did watch scenes for next week. I never do that, but I was just kind of wanted to get an idea. And it only glimpsed this one scene of Shane Jackson, who's in the opening credits in last season, hasn't appeared at all this season.
Okay.
He looked like some sort of reporter, some sort of I don't know who he was. Walking on camera.
I saw that. Yeah, that was a very brief clip. I mean, I guess there's only 2 ways it can go. Either we're going to transition into current times with these people, or it's going to be a different episode.
I have to. Obviously, I think it's going to be related to these first 5 episodes. I just don't know how it's going to be. So I'm pretty excited, pretty amped for next week.
It's
not something I usually find myself saying mid-season American Horror Story.
I'll be looking forward to it. There's lots to look forward to. Any other thoughts moving forward, Mike?
I think good episode, good way to close out this arc, and I'm ready for next week.
It was disgusting. It was
disgusting, brutal, savage episode.
It'll be.
That was mostly very good.
It'll be interesting for next week. Let's move on to something slightly less brutal. Atlanta.
Yeah.
Come on. Great episode, right? Come on.
Absolutely. Yes.
I liked it a lot, but I think it was my least favorite episode of the season so far.
Wow.
How dare you?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I just thought
Montague fan?
I thought some of the things that they were trying to say in this episode were a little too on the nose through this. Sure. Where it could have been a little bit more subtle, and it didn't really do much to, which I think could definitely be a problem going forward if they don't. This could definitely be a problem going forward if they don't actually do anything with these characters. If it's just these characters, just in this episode, literally sitting here and discussing things.
Interesting.
But right now, that's not a problem. But I'm saying in the future,
isn't a plot-driven show.
I'm saying in the future, if they don't move the story forward somehow.
That's not what the show is. You're missing the point about what the show is.
I'm not saying it's a problem right now. If they never even touch his rising rap career again, you wouldn't have a problem.
First of all, I don't think that's true. I think every week we get a little bit more glimpse into the evolution of his career, but that's tangential at this point. Like, the show is about these characters in this world and literally everything else.
No, I agree, but there still has to be some thread to move the story forward as to what.
As long as it's delivering high caliber, fascinating glimpses into this world on a week-to-week basis, I don't care what the show is.
I think we learned something about Paperboy is not your classic stereotype of a rapper. I
Sure.
think we learned that he's very accepting.
Oh yeah, we learned things about the characters, but not like this episode didn't push the story forward at all.
It's the story of him trying to make money.
Which I'm not. You mean that one line where he talks to Ern off camera?
Yeah, he's trying to make money.
Don't you, this idea that Ern scores Paperboy like
It's local.
this panel discussion about race and society and these social issues on this like shitty public access, and Paperboy thinks he's making money, but he finds out he's not. Like I
loved it.
concept. I think was really funny.
I also love that Montague just keeps. He wants to make a fight. He wants to call out Paperboy so much. And Noah, one of the Paperboy's reactions and facial expressions were so funny throughout the whole thing. Like they open with Paperboy's Caitlyn Jenner rant on Twitter. Claiming there was a Caitlyn Jenner rant. Come on. Oh, that's so funny. And then he's quoting lyrics about Caitlyn Jenner from Paperboy songs. That's so funny. And it was just such a such a funny setting. I thought it was interesting. It's clearly supposed to be like BET, but it also had this very, very local access feel.
Someone who's worked in cable access.
Yeah.
I could relate to a lot of what that Montague show is all about. So just from that perspective, I really liked it.
So a couple other thoughts. One of the big running, obviously, threads through this episode were the commercials. Now, I was confused at that first Dodge commercial. I was thinking it was a real commercial.
Yeah.
And
it's a slow burn.
They just continued getting progressively more insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dodge, what was it? Arizona, Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
Prices on the can. That animated cereal parody commercial.
That was the
pretty
deepest.
brutal. I think is that one of the commercials you thought were a little too on the nose?
I think just the entire episode was a little on the nose. Yeah. I mean, it's funny, but it's on the nose.
The Swisher Sweets.
Swishers. I like the Swisher Seeds one.
And then the one for the new age, you call in and talk to the guy.
Yeah.
I actually have a little tidbit about that.
Okay.
I called the guy's number.
Well, I noticed it was a real number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It wasn't.
Like it wasn't a 555. Yeah.
And it went to an answering machine where he said that he's unavailable due to a brief incarceration, and that I should leave a message with my number, and that his people will get back to me. It's true.
And did you?
I did not. I did not leave my number, and I did not want that man to have it. The commercials to me, they were so funny. What a crazy
so
episode.
innovative and just out of this world, and just a joy to watch. I loved them.
It was so funny. It was so funny. Then another big thing I wanted to talk about, the transracial kid.
The 30-year-old white man.
Highlight of the episode.
That was unbelievably funny.
I could really relate when he walked into the bar and asked about IPAs on tap. It's like, wow, that's me right there.
So he did a great job.
Yeah.
Some of the classic I'm a systems engineer for Coca-Cola.
Wasn't it revealed though that he wasn't?
Yeah,
No,
he said he worked at the mall.
But in his real life, he is a systems engineer at Coca-Cola.
And when he's walking by like a guy being questioned by two cops, and he's like, "Officers, this is definitely the guy."
I live here and I've never seen him.
Yeah. That was so.
And then it's revealed at the end that he is this horrible bigoted monster of a man, and it served as this point of union for Paperboy and the transgender activist woman.
Yeah.
Alongside him, I thought was just a smart subversion of expectations.
Thought it was very cool that they end up agreeing, even though Montague continues to try to spark
wants to
things
fan the
up.
flames.
The end of the episode, like Montague has been boiled down to just yelling like your music, like you hate women, or like and Montague and the I think her name was Deborah, the other woman.
Yeah.
They're just very they agree, and it's very calm. And then we just get that "you hate woman" yell from Montague, and the nice facial reaction from Paperboy.
Again, might be one of the best characters. Well, it's not really a question anymore. He is one of the best characters on TV right now, Paperboy.
He's great.
He's really good.
Did you
That
guys...
actor is...
Well, you should watch Vice Principals, man.
What?
You should watch Vice Principals. He's in there.
Is he really?
In the back half of the season. But did you guys see the preview for next week's episode?
No.
It's not really a spoiler, but it was all Darius, which
Really?
doesn't
Darius has been sidelined.
it doesn't confirm that it's an all Darius episode, but it was just him talking to a man we've never seen before. So
That's what I love about the show. Just week to week, it just surprises you in really like impressive ways. It can just be anything it wants to be. It can be.
We've had like 20 seconds of Donald Glover screen time in the past two weeks.
I know, yeah.
I'm okay with that. Like I said last week, I don't think Ern is... I think he's towards the bottom end of interesting characters on that show. Not that he isn't interesting, but Paperboy and certainly Darius, I think, are... I'm much more interested in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's keep watching. We'll keep everyone updated, but let's do some quick hits, huh?
Sure.
So, Mike, I know me and you have been watching DS. That's Designated Survivor. That's our term for it, DS. But not this week, huh?
I dropped the ball on DS.
Wait, you're saying everyone doesn't call it DS?
Well,
on the internet?
Maybe soon. It's something that we can push and hopefully DS, you know?
Okay.
Now, I don't want to spoil anything for you, Mike.
Please don't.
Okay. You know what? I'll drop you one little tidbit that'll make you look forward to it. Not a spoiler.
Didn't know that was possible.
Well, it's not a spoiler. Zero Sun storyline this week. Zero.
Wow, that's big.
The shitty drug dealing son?
None of it.
Okay.
We didn't have time for it.
That's progress.
Yeah.
Right there, right?
Well, I'm sure it's coming back.
Addition by subtraction.
Although that really would be great if we never see him again.
Did the show make up for the son's lack of screen time by delivering something actually decent and worth spending time with?
Know what? I'm struggling because I don't want to spoil it. Of course, there was a couple of big things happened.
Okay.
That definitely moved us forward a bit.
You want to give us a general thumbs up, thumbs down?
Well, we talking in the general scheme of things, or like DS?
Just
like
how you feel right now.
DS baseline.
DS baseline is a big thumbs up.
Big thumbs up.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
Overall.
Might check that out later today.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I don't want to get you too pumped up. Pay close attention. DS baseline.
I don't have to get my hopes up.
Okay. But yeah, no sun. Couple of interesting things. I think Kiefer's starting to come into his own. That's what he's doing. He's not scared anymore. How about Mike? How about a little "This Is Us" check-in?
This Is Us just aired its third episode this past week, and I'm really digging that show. What are you, 2 episodes in?
2 episodes in, yeah, one behind.
This is the third episode. Yeah, it's just a really decent, lovely family drama, and the writing and the acting and the dialogue can be corny as hell sometimes.
That's the problem I had with it.
But it still, on a week-to-week basis, I find it delivering really powerful, interesting moments with these characters. Right now, I think probably the best aspect of the show right now is with Sterling K. Brown involving his reacquaintance with the father who abandoned him when he was first born, and this past episode really delved deeper into that. It opens with a really lovely montage involving his biological parents first meeting. The whole scene is scored to this one song. I don't believe there's any dialogue, and it just tells the story of them meeting on this bus and over time sort of falling way to drugs and eventually becoming pregnant, and him having no choice but to abandon his son at the fire station. And that really sort of set the tone for the preceding episode. And I really liked it.
Can I ask you a question about this week's episode?
Sure.
Now, at the end of the second episode, Mandy Moore shows up.
Whoa.
And she's got some pretty bad makeup on.
Not as bad.
Pretty bad old person makeup
on.
on.
As Miguel. I thought the man that she was with was even worse.
Yeah.
Mandy Moore playing an old person?
Yeah, her character is... Yeah, she plays their mother. She plays the three characters' mother.
Really?
Because we see flashbacks.
Yeah. Oh, most of Mandy Moore's storyline takes place in like the 1970s when her and her husband first give birth to these kids. And, then seeing like raising them throughout the early years of their life. But in present day, we get old Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
And we get the old age makeup.
Like the surprise at the end of the episode I saw was like them walking through the door. And I thought they spent a long time not showing the face, so I thought they were going to recast her, which seems like it would have been better.
A better way to go, because it really is unconvincing. Like seeing Sterling K. Brown, who's probably older than Mandy Moore in real life, like calling her mom. Like it's just, I don't know if she, like people as they age, they gain weight, their voice changes, like their skin sags, like there was really little of that at all. Like there was just some prosthetic makeup like on her face, and that was it. Like I don't know, her hair was a little different. Like maybe adding some gray hair would have worked. She still had her like pristine brunette.
Are you saying Mandy Moore's not going to stay beautiful into her old age, Mike? This is...
I mean, anything's possible in Hollywood. Nashua's own Mandy Moore.
Yeah, she went to our high school.
What is really the definition of beautiful, Mike? Is she...
Well, there's no one's denying Mandy Moore's inner beauty. I think she's probably a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Mike, is Kiefer Sutherland beautiful to you?
I've heard Kiefer Sutherland's kind of an asshole.
I've heard that as well.
Has Kiefer had any cosmetic surgery?
I don't know.
He's looking a little strange to me in some DS. We can talk about this next week.
I watched a documentary about Kiefer Sutherland like bankrolling this band, bankrolling their tour across Europe or something. Wow. And through the documentary, he drops out halfway through their like tour, and really screws them over. It paints him in a very bad light.
Well, he did it in the first place, Chris.
That's true.
Beggars can't be choosers.
He had his reasons.
It's true. He did.
I know nothing about this, but
yeah, that's all alleged as well. He allegedly
get back to this. Old people. No one's saying old people aren't beautiful. They're just beautiful in a different way than when they were 30 years younger.
Well, we can't all be up to your beauty standards anyway.
What?
We can't all be up to your beauty standards anyway.
Well, yeah, my original question was it a distraction as much as it was at the end of that episode?
I think if they limit it, like, she wasn't in too many scenes at that age. If they can find a way to limit it, then maybe. Or if they can find a way to improve upon it, absolutely. But I don't think it would be wise for the show to spend too much time with that character in present day just because it doesn't look great.
Okay. We'll have to see where it goes. I've got a couple of thoughts about a little show. I think I'm the only one watching it. The Strain.
That's not true. I watch it.
You dropped though. No, you dropped.
I didn't drop.
Have you watched the current season?
I've watched. It took me 3 sittings, but I finally finished the premiere of season 3.
Yeah, I thought you dropped after the premiere.
No.
Okay, I dropped after season 1.
Do not confuse me dropping a show with me being many episodes behind on it.
Okay.
I think one of my, it's okay. It's okay. What do we have? One more season left? Didn't you tell me that?
Yeah.
No, it's unconfirmed.
I thought that was confirmed.
Well, that'll be fine.
Differing reports.
My favorite thing about this season has been this ongoing them just, not even trying to hide their pushing of their new term for the zombie creatures.
Strigoi?
No. Munchers.
Munchers?
You may not have seen it in the first episode. In one of the episodes, the city councilwoman lady goes like, says something to another character like, "Oh, how are things going with the Munchers?" And then he goes like, "What?" And then she goes like, "Oh yeah, I heard a guy say that." Like this is literally how it was introduced. "Oh yeah, I heard like someone I know calls them that. That's what I do." Now everyone's calling them Munchers.
Oh boy.
I think it's Munchers.
Yeah, just call them Vamps.
Well, they're trying.
They're Munchers. It's their term, okay? Well, they've decided this season.
They want it to be like walkers in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, that's a good.
They want to coin their own
That's
term.
exactly what's happening. It would have been great if they thought of this in season one. Of course, I think we've still only gone through like 3 days of real world time in three.
It's taken the world of that show like 3 full seasons to finally grapple with this vampire apocalypse that was pretty apparent from like halfway through season 1. But it took a long time.
To be fair, I think it's literally been a week since the beginning of season 1. I think we're talking like,
I don't know about a week. It's certainly been less than a month. I agree with you there.
I think it's been at most a couple of weeks. I really don't know, but it's really funny how these characters are like, because we've been with them for several seasons, like they're acting like they've known each other for so long, but they really have only known each other for like 2 weeks max. Like,
True.
That's funny.
They're like some ragtag family.
There's also, I'm not going to go into it. There's a storyline with the son that is just.
Oh, I am pretty
enough.
I'm pretty up to. Well, I don't know if I'm up to date, but I think I have a good understanding of what's going on with the son. Is that he was kidnapped at the end of last season. It is now being held hostage by his vampire mother to leverage his father, Corey Stoll, into giving over that book, right?
Yes.
That was sort of covered in the premiere.
This is not a spoiler, but the son most recently has been given a pet muncher, for lack of a better term, and their bonding scenes are just so like, ugh.
Well, the actor playing the son is absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
Bad child actor.
He's a downgrade.
He's been recast.
Yeah, they've downgraded him. Although maybe that's how they want him to act. I don't know. I'm not too into it. I'm gonna keep watching though, because the story as a whole, I like stories like this, and it interests me. So
if I have like a free 7 hours at some point over the next few weeks, I'd hope to carve it out to make some room. It is, along with Designated Survivor, it is one of my favorite shows to watch and then subsequently shit all over.
Well, I hope you do, so we can talk about it.
That was one of the great joys, I think, for all of us, our friend group in the first season, was we all watched it, and we all sort of universally came to this understanding that it was a very, very bad show. So on a week-to-week basis, we would sort of convene and talk about the awfulness of the episode of that week.
It's true. It's true.
And then most everyone abandoned ship at some point in the first season, but we've stayed true to the show.
Now that we're all on board with calling them munchers, I think everything will be a lot smoother now. It's a lot more mainstream.
Well, the cool thing about calling them walkers in The Walking Dead is that The Walking Dead takes place in a world where zombies don't exist. Like, zombie media doesn't exist in that world. So there's no reason why, if that were to happen, they would call them zombies. It would just be some random term.
Yeah, that's...
So like every faction that they meet, most people call them walkers, but some people call them like every faction of people that they meet has varying terms, because like people in New England might call them something different than, like, there's no reason why everyone would call them zombies, you know?
Well,
seems like they're taking the shortcut way to kind of get something like that in the
We call
stream.
them munchers because she heard some guy say it. That's why we're all calling them the munchers now, and that's just the way it is. So we'll keep up with this. You guys were watching some new comedy on HBO, right?
Yeah, we both watched Insecure, one of the multiple new comedies coming out.
Well, I did say to Chris, try to watch the new HBO comedies this week. I thought that it was pretty clear implication to watch the two new comedies that premiered this week. Chris took it another way. He only watched one of the two that premiered this week, and another one
and one that premiered the week prior.
I think you're wrong.
There was two. I watched High Maintenance as well as Insecure. I'll talk about High Maintenance next week, but High Maintenance is very good. You should watch it. But I ended up watching Insecure. I didn't watch Divorce. But what did you think of Insecure?
I don't think I'm going to be continuing with Insecure. I thought it was fine.
It was just okay.
An interesting point of view of the writer, creator, main star, but just kind of unremarkable, just inessential kind of show for me at least. For me personally, I don't find much of a reason to need to continue with all the other shows every week that I need to watch.
Like The Strain, Designated Survivor,
yes.
American Horror Story. Yeah, but I agree with you. It was good, not great. The thing that got me to want to check out the second episode coming up is that, did you watch the season preview?
No.
The season preview was pretty good.
I do recall the main character and actress of the show plugging that.
Yeah, it was really weird. It was really weird.
Before the episode aired to watch it.
And it was a good preview, so I'll at least give it a shot next week.
Yeah, it was a fine show. I don't have too many things wrong with it. That I didn't find too many things that were wrong with it, but I just didn't love it enough to really care to watch it going forward.
Yeah.
Which one was this?
Insecure.
Okay.
So good music.
Go forward.
I will.
Okay.
Good music in that episode, though.
Yeah, it was good. Fine.
Did you watch another one, Mike?
Yes, the other HBO comedy that premiered this week that I had asked Chris to watch that he didn't watch, Divorced. Now, I can say this with reasonable certainty. That was a bad pilot, bad premiere, and probably a very bad show.
Maybe Chris knew something.
In my mind, Sarah Jessica Parker has a blank check at HBO where she can just do whatever she wants because of Sex and the City. So I feel she might have had this idea, or she strong-armed her way into this role that she probably wasn't perfect for.
No, it wasn't Sarah Jessica Parker's fault that it's not a very good show. It's about this married couple that decide to divorce. That's it, and it's just these two mostly very unlikable, unrelatable characters. Or maybe they're relatable. I don't know. This unlikable characters, this unlikable just tone and mood, and it's just kind of depressing. And these people that clearly hate each other, and it's just like I didn't understand why they were even together in the first place. I read this I forget who it was. I don't know who to attribute this quote to on Twitter, but someone said in order for you to care about them divorcing, you have to care about why they were together in the first place. You have to care about them as people, and I don't think the pilot did anything to make me care at all about them as people and about their relationship, and certainly about their divorce.
You described this as the new HBO comedy?
It's a half-hour comedy.
Sarah Jessica Parker's a comedic actress.
It's not like just this depressing slog. It tries to be funny and entertaining, but does not succeed.
I think they should hire you to sell this show. Sounds wonderful.
So I'm out on that.
Any other quick hits for us this week, guys?
I'm all set.
We covered everything, right?
Yeah,
I think so. In that case, we can move on to our big new baby, Westworld.
Mm-hmm.
You both tuned in, right?
Yep.
So much stuff this week. Give me your thoughts.
So this week we saw a little bit more of the world in general. We learned a little bit more about the park, and it did what I thought it was going to do. Like, the pilot was a good encapsulated... Not an encapsulated story, but it had its own beginning, middle, and end. It had this big set-piece moment with the heist. And I feel like this is now settling into a groove of, all right, this is a full season. We're going to have to start to flesh out these characters, and not every episode's going to be this big bombastic thing, even though they did try with the Man in Black down in Mexico, it seemed. His big fight scene, which was cool, but it obviously wasn't as crazy as the heist. But I liked the episode. I liked it a lot. I liked we started to learn about the maze, the mystery of the maze.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you guys think?
Thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, like I said last week, I liked the pilot. I didn't love it. I thought it was a little bit too broad in its introduction of this world and these characters. For that reason alone, I like this episode a lot more,
Sure.
just because it really narrowed that focus a little bit. It sort of only told primarily like 2 or 3 stories. I felt like we got Danny Newton's Maeve. Her story was the primary focus, probably.
Yeah.
As well as the new character of William that we met.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, just for that reason alone, I really liked it, and it really sort of settled into this, like you said, groove. Hopefully for the rest of the season, maybe every episode going forward, we're going to get like the show's going to really narrow down on certain characters within this world and start telling their stories in a more focused way, compact way.
Absolutely, and I do want to dive a bit deeper into what happened and discuss some questions that I had with you guys. I do have one thing that is killing me though, and this is just sort of a general question. What is stopping the guests from taking just a blunt object or a knife or something and killing each other, or killing, like...
That's a good...
What is stopping them?
I kind of wondered that same thing. I don't think there's anything stopping them. Unless, I mean, this hasn't been confirmed one way or another. This is like a virtual reality simulation that they're existing in. Like, we don't really know.
I think it's definitely not
a
virtual reality situation. I think it's definitely not virtual reality, because they have to sculpt faces and they had so much corporeal things.
That still remains unclear, though, just how this works.
Yeah.
Works.
Let's say both of you are guests, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't even... I'm not even talking about necessarily, like, wanting, anything against someone in someone's mind. I'm just talking about, like, accidental. Let's say, Chris, you both don't know each other. Chris comes, he thinks he's off on a fun storyline, he's doing all this thing, he's shooting bad guys. Chris decides, okay, this seems like someone I need to kill. I'm going to slice his throat. What if he thinks you're one of the part of the cast? What if Chris just accidentally slices your throat? It must have happened.
That's a good question.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I really don't know the answer.
Yeah. Unless every object in the park is, like, specially designed, and, like, the fork you're eating with or the knife you're eating with.
And,
like dolls.
Do the guests have, like, real functioning guns that they're killing the hosts with? Like, when a guest shoots a host, they bleed and they die. But when a host shoots a guest, it appears like these blanks that sort of bounce off their chests. I don't understand.
What I was reading online, a theory, and I think the theory was based off the movie, is how it worked in the movie. And obviously there's a suspension of disbelief where you just kind of, at some point, you just have to go with it. But they felt that it was an IR sensor on the gun. So if I was looking at you, and these robots don't have any heat off of them, so the IR sensor would say, no heat, can shoot. Any heat at all, it shoots a blank. But obviously there's a lot of problems with that. Like, if you're behind a wall, you shoot through the wall, accidentally killing someone, so it probably doesn't work that way.
That was one of the biggest moments of the episode, though. Did you see the Man in Black has some sort of special gun?
Did he have a special gun, or did he just shoot through a wall?
No, and he spends quite a lot of time switching the bullets. It's very slow and agonizing how he's switching bullets in and out. And then his gun is clearly, it has two barrels. I watched this episode three times.
3 times?
There's 2 barrels.
Well, pistols sometimes can have 2 barrels.
He has a special gun and he can shoot through a wall.
But guns can go through... the wall that I remember being shot through was like clay or like sandstone. It can easily be shot through.
So that was a big moment. That was supposed to be a big moment.
It was a big moment because it was cool.
No, but we had to watch him change the ammunition.
Well, also, like, there's hollow point versus regular bullets. Hollow points can go through things a little deeper. And I'm not saying that there's not a chance that he does have a special gun. I'm just saying from what I've seen.
He has a gun that can kill people, and he left Dolores a gun that can kill people. That's what I think.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys a couple questions. Back to these new arrivals, William and Logan.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on that whole storyline, and then I have some thoughts myself. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, on the subject of them, I inadvertently overheard a theory that involving those two that I think is 100% true.
Okay.
And I'd prefer not to talk about it because I really wish I hadn't overheard that, and I think anyone who does hear it that didn't want to, they would be disappointed because
diminishes.
there's a high likeliness of it being correct.
Yeah, I saw a video on YouTube that said this Westworld theory is probably true, and I decided not to click on it.
About...
I don't know about what, but I just, after I saw that...
Okay, Mike, but is yours about, like, where their story is going? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's just the very nature of that story and why it's part of the show, I think is of pretty grand importance to the story and in certain characters.
Okay, well, I'm going to throw something out. I don't think it's what you're talking about, but if it is, we'll cut it out.
Did you read this online?
I didn't read this.
Or is it just a feeling? It's just a feeling that you had.
Like, I've read about this, but it's not like I was reading like this is some crazy thing that we think is going to happen with the story.
Okay.
It's nothing like that. But I think it seems like they are not in the present. Is that what your spoiler was?
Partly, yeah.
I think it's pretty clear that they're not in the present, though. I don't think that's some big thing.
Now, you mean like the story doesn't take place in the present?
Yeah.
I think, it takes place in the future.
No, specifically, those two characters are a past story.
Oh.
Their storyline is not happening with the rest of the story. That was your big thing?
You're not... Obviously, you're not painting the entire picture, but that is, I think, a part of this theory that I think is true.
I don't know the rest of your theory. All I know is that it seems like that's not happening in the present day. Like, the Westworld logo looks completely different. The storylines when they walk into the town are clearly older storylines. Like, they're not the story... Like, there's a band of soldiers that are standing in town and talking about the war instead of whatever it was, the sheriff, like, looking to go and hang someone. I think... Now, what is that?
It's right there to, like, investigate for yourself if you want to. Certainly it's not a huge, like, veiled surprise, but... Well,
okay. Well, if you think
as with any good twist, I mean, it's all the evidence is right in front of you if you really want to dive deep into it. So we'll see in the following episodes if that's the case. We'll learn more probably in the next few.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't think that was a huge thing. It's not, right? There's more to what you're talking about these secret internet things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, you didn't feel any of that?
I didn't know any of that, no.
Well, I thought it was interesting. It's like I think there's a lot that could happen from that. I don't know what it is, but I thought it was really cool to see how things had changed. I mean, wasn't it pretty obvious? Like, they go into town and there's different stuff. Like, it has nothing to do with what we've been
Every
seeing.
scene is just packed with so much information. Both episodes have just been so jammed. So, I mean, it is... I didn't pick up on that in my first viewing, my only viewing. It was the theory that I heard that really made me think that.
Okay.
So I think probably a lot of viewers probably didn't pick up on that. But for those that are paying attention, certainly, I mean, it's right there to grab onto.
What do you guys think about what happened with the Man in Black this episode?
I think that
it's fine.
They could potentially be the coolest part of the series if there is this deeper game.
I did sort of like that moment where these two like engineers were like sort of watching like the bird's eye view of what was going on in that scene. And they were like one said to the other, like, he can do whatever he wants. He's been playing this game a long time. Like he's a big IP.
Yeah, I think was that the head security guy that said that?
I think so.
That made me wonder, what do they do to slow someone down? Also made me think about if everything is so safe, why is there this like hardcore armed security force? Like, why?
Yeah.
Well, they referenced incidents in the past. They said like there hasn't been a incident since, I think in the first episode they said there hasn't been an incident in X amount of months or whatever they said. So there's probably problems that happened in the past.
In the event that some guest goes rogue and tries to murder other guests.
Yeah.
Yeah, or accidentally slices someone's throat, as I was saying before.
Yeah. But I bet to your question, I bet they slow people down. In that scene, he's the security guy asks if they should send more people in to fight him, and he declines. So that's probably one way they slow people down, is they send in a bunch of people.
I see. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff with that. So do you think and we see with Dr. Ford that like really cool looking like black steeple thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is that, you think, where the little girl told the Man in Black to go? Because we saw the snake. She was talking about going where the snake lays its eggs or whatever. Is that, you think, where all this stuff is heading, that black steeple building?
Maybe,
yeah.
Yeah.
Underground?
What? No, it's just like a thing above ground in the desert.
I know, but it could have been the top of a building that's buried.
Like a lost city of that world.
I see. I was thinking it was just like a little church thing, like a little steeple thing.
Yeah.
Whoa, that could. Okay, that makes more sense to me now too.
Like, what if there was a city there at one point, and then they did some reconstruction, and that's
And then when he's talking to the kid, he's like, "Oh, can't you see the white church here? The church bell or whatever." That's interesting. What did you guys think about that interaction with Dr. Ford and the kid?
Well, I think at first I thought he was a real kid.
You thought that was a real boy?
Yeah.
I thought it was real too.
He says, "Oh, I lost." He says, "My family." Blah 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 blah.
I never thought he was real.
Why would he have a kid come out?
Again, I overheard this as well. But this isn't that significant. That the idea that little boy is a younger version of Ford that he created a young boy in his own image at that age.
I've heard that too, and I think it's either definitely true or something like that is true, because they were so similar. They had the same memories. Like he said, "Oh, my dad used to say that too." But how did you know that wasn't a real boy? Why would there be one of those in the middle of the desert?
That was just my first initial impression.
Okay.
That it wasn't a real boy.
All right.
Isn't it more likely, though, that a little kid got lost and his parents said he could go travel, then they set up a little boy in the middle of the desert?
I didn't get the sense that was like a real like child of this time period. Like he seemed just kind of like
an elevated figure.
A different era.
Okay. Hey, well, some people picked up on the past time thing.
Well, to be fair, he's of a much more recent era if he's supposed to be Dr. Ford as a child, right? Because Dr. Ford wasn't born in the Wild West.
Well, that child was made to think that he was, probably.
You know, another
just with those implanted things.
Yeah.
another classic Dr. Ford moment in this episode.
There are already classic Dr. Ford moments?
Yeah.
There are. He has some great lines.
As someone that's watched it 3 times, Mike, still only the overall comprehension of someone that's watched it maybe half a time. But yes, there are classic moments. I thought it was so funny. I'm not sure if it made sense when Dr. Ford shits all over Lee's Odyssey on Red River.
I enjoy seeing that character in pain.
Yeah.
Especially, they showed him earlier, or was it this episode or last episode? He's yelling at one of the designers and slams the plate.
You watched the episode 3 times? You don't know which episode it's in?
That's correct. My question there, why? They've said previously that Dr. Ford takes no interest in these storylines. They have all these storylines that seem to be of lesser quality than this storyline. Why all of a sudden now he cares very deeply that there has to be a deeper meaning to it?
Well, I was theorizing that if there is this deeper game that he's created, then any new storyline that he hasn't overseen personally might interfere with that game. Interfere with something that he set up below. Oh, and also, he's really into these subconscious memories, the reveries that were talked about in the first episode.
Yeah.
So he might have those in mind, where it's I can't have my people, I can't have my creations having this memory.
I get the sense that he's just sort of having a crisis of conscience or faith with this park, and he's just sort of searching for that deeper meaning. He's kind of tired of this artifice that this writer is trying to implement into the world that he's made, and he is just on a quest for this deeper meaning, for this world to matter in a more emotional, historical way.
What do you guys think about that in relation to when Dr. Ford's talking to Bernard about I think it's the malfunction that they've seen in Dolores' dad?
About how he went home, and it's usually when stuff had happened like that before, they usually just freak out on the spot, whereas he went home and thought about it.
Yeah. And then, in that same way, what do you think about Bernard being a little bit shady when discussing with anyone Dolores' issues? And he's having the private one-on-one conversations with her.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that? Is it something shady? Is it just... That is really intriguing to me. That, along with how Dr. Ford's acting, what is going on with that? There's some malfunction that Bernard is very hesitant to really look into. Is it something that he wants to happen?
I don't know. Gonna have to find out.
All good questions. I'm really not sure.
Well, I watched the episode 3 times, didn't think it was the top of a church.
Yep.
But it's black, right? It was all black.
Yeah, the first time I thought it looked kind of like a buoy, with a black buoy with a cross on top. Then when he gave the speech, I realized what was going on.
Very interesting.
Also, for anyone else out there that is listening that's played Fallout 4, a lot of what's going on here mirrors Fallout 4.
I was thinking that same thing.
Yep.
No, I don't think I ever played Fallout 4. But I think I did play Fallout 3.
In fact, there's a little boy made in someone's image. A little robot boy made in someone's image to be a younger version of someone else.
This is the open world, find your own story. The nature of Westworld is very reminiscent of that video.
Any open world games, but even more specifically in Fallout 4, takes place in Boston, where a alternate MIT creates lifelike androids, and you don't know, and they're released into the actual world, and it's kind of like Battlestar Galactica. You don't know who's an android and who's not.
I've heard I've seen some stuff online about other ways that this really is like a video game.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just this clockwork world that you're able to.
You're free to commit devastating crime and murder to anyone you see on the streets, and it be entirely devoid of consequence or real world ramifications.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just this. It serves as this platform for your most like awful desires.
Yeah.
To play
Yeah.
themselves out.
Scary.
I also, before we end this, I heard a theory about where the show could go like seasons from now that probably isn't true, so I'm going to say it because it's probably not a spoiler, is that there could be... They keep talking about these shareholders in this business, this higher-level business that's going on.
Yeah.
It's possible that they franchised out the park and there could be like Space World, Blank World, and future seasons could take place in different parks.
Interesting.
Then it wouldn't be Westworld.
That's why I think it's probably not true, but it's cool to think about. Unless, what if season 2 is Space World?
I
don't know if they have the budget.
They could still be in space, man.
But also,
They could still be in
yeah,
space.
I think they're definitely in space.
You think they're definitely in space?
For sure.
So you think the ship or like the train that William came in on is like a spaceship?
No, I think that's a train, but I think the planet that they're on is a different planet.
Of this world, are they from Earth? Do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a future Earth where we've gone out into the stars, and then this landmass that Westworld is on. I thought of two things: either it's underground, they've created this dome world, or it's what I really think is happening is because they've talked so much about how we've gotten to a point in civilization where we've conquered evolution, and they hope to one day conquer death. If they're at that point, they're in space, and they're probably out and about, and this is on a different planet.
You know what makes me but William seems so impressed by the vastness of Westworld. That sort of makes me think is not in space. Like if you're taking the time to go on a spaceship to another planet, and you're like, whoa, it's more than this very small town.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
That seems a little, but I don't know.
Well, unless you might be impressed with the vastness that's also populated by this. All these goings on.
I don't believe it's in space. I think they're on planet Earth.
So you think?
Could be.
Do you think that they're in a dome world somewhere, or do you?
It's like a Truman Show-esque like dome world.
Okay, that's definitely a possibility.
Lots. Truman Show, one of my favorite movies. Lots
Ed
of
Harris.
Yep. Lots of lines to draw between those two. We can dig into those in the future. So we're all going to keep watching Westworld. Let's talk about what else we're going to watch for next week. Of course, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us AHS.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, DS, Designated Survivor. One of our two DS groupies here missed their week, but that's okay. Hopefully, we'll catch up next week. What else are we watching? I'll keep watching The Strain.
You should watch High Maintenance.
Yeah,
it's actually very good.
I have the time.
The thing about High Maintenance, I'll just say this really quick. The thing about High Maintenance is that it's really not about the guy selling drugs. Each episode is a completely different story of someone that he's selling drugs to.
Really?
That's cool.
It's really unique. Yep, so every episode's different.
What network?
HBO.
Okay.
HBO.
What else are we watching?
One of my favorite shows from last year will be back next Friday. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Friends of the Pod.
Friends of the Pod.
Absolutely amazing show. It is as funny, as ambitious, as just delightful as any show on TV. It is, I think, the only pure musical that exists on TV.
It's a musical?
It is a musical.
Wow.
And every episode features 2 or 3 original songs.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that'll be back next week, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
And Black Mirror, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which one of the episodes is directed by personal fan favorite of mine. Not fan favorite, but I love Dan Trachtenberg. He directed one of the episodes, directed 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Oh, sure. Great movie.
Yep. Follow that man on Twitter. Hopefully one day he'll follow us.
That was his first major release, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then he got snatched up by Black Mirror by Netflix.
Can't wait for Black Mirror, that show.
Yeah.
We should all watch
You should watch that too, Jeff, because it's not a it's like Twilight Zone.
Pure
every episode is different. Every episode is different, not even the season. So
I'll definitely
15 episodes.
What?
Something like that.
I thought it was like
I don't know if it's
10.
It's a lot.
Oh, boy.
A lot more than
BBC
normal.
had.
Each season in the past has consisted of only like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. Anything else we'll be watching? This Is Us, right?
Yep. This is us.
I probably won't talk about it next week, but Shameless as always.
Ash vs. Evil Dead. I won't talk about it, but it's awesome.
We'll catch back up. Mike, where can we find you online?
Follow me on Twitter at linguistics_.
Chris?
Follow me on Twitter at ThatMorris, ThatMorris, and you should all follow the ScreeningClub, Twitter.com, at ScreeningClub, that we just started up. We'll be posting on there, getting updates on
You'll
us.
soon be able to follow us on the in the works to be determined release date, ScreeningClub.com.
ScreeningClub.com. You can find me, TheRealJeffMoore.com. And please leave us a rate, give us a subscribe if you like what you hear, and let us know what you think. You can reach out on Twitter, like Chris just mentioned, at ScreeningClub, ScreeningClub@gmail.com. We would love your thoughts. We would love to talk about your comments and your insight. And we will follow back up with you next week. And until then, happy watching, everyone. Have a great week.
Goodbye.
See you.
God bless.